So, how are we gonna start this video?
I don't know.
Globalization. What a beautiful process that is happening as we speak. What is it, you may ask? Let me explain. Globalization is the interaction and connectivity of culture, commerce, and ideas around the world. A definition made by our teacher, Mr. Max. Now, what does that technically mean?
Glad you asked. Here's an example. Most people should know what McDonald's is, right?
Yes. No.
Well, there are other McDonald's around the world, whether it be in the Philippines or in Russia. McDonald's is an example of how the globalization process works. How a product or idea diffuses to different parts of the world. You being able to get McDonald's here in town is a result in globalization.
What about offshoring and outsourcing?
Yes. Outsourcing is when a company hires another company to do a portion or all of its work, like how American Express moved their call center to India.
And for offshoring, it's when companies move their production to another country for processes such as manufacturing.
Okay, but why all those things?
Well, if you outsource, there's a cheaper labor in other parts of the world, less expensive regulations to adhering to laws, because you don't want to be broke, you know what I'm saying, and decreased liability risks.
And for offshoring, as mentioned before with cheap labor and inexpensive regulations, other areas may have more relaxed environmental policies, decreased shipping costs, and other benefits resulting in increased profits.
Yes. One more question though. Explain interdependence, please.
It's the dependence of two or more people or things upon each other. So if we were to run a rice business, we would need a company to harvest and prepare the rice while we, another company, go out and distribute it.
Oh, thanks, Jeep.
Next is clothes. First off is shorts. As you can see, a little over half of all the shorts we documented came from China. Other countries fall behind with less than 20%.
Next up are sweaters.
China is still leading with around 47%, but other countries make up the majority with around 42%, with Vietnam, Bangladesh, and Pakistan lagging behind with 5% and under.
It sounds like you're one of those people behind the table explaining what's going on in the game.
Really? Will these three countries find their way up to the scoreboard? Let's see with the next contestant. Shirts!
As seen in this diagram, all countries have been defeated by a conglomeration of different countries by a whopping 52.7%. But hey, Vietnam is still catching up, but Pakistan is sitting down with under 0%. Sorry, Pakistan.
As we move on to jackets and hoodies, you can see that China turns the tide by taking over a 50% mark.
Hey,
Now,
I can't
blah,
believe
blah,
you pushed me.
blah,
What the
blah,
heck?
blah,
What were you
blah,
doing?
blah.
Oh my god.
Last but not least, in this diagram you can see that jeans are mainly manufactured in China by almost 60%, while the other countries have less than 20%. In conclusion to our items information, the majority of our items were made in China by 67%. The rest after was Vietnam, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and the other countries. So China is the real MVP.
Why exactly China, though?
There are a lot of reasons for this. What you have to know about China, though, is that it's in stage 4 of the demographic transition with an HDI of 0.752, GNI of 23.24 trillion PPP dollars, and GDP of 12.24 trillion US dollars. China is the most populous country with its population of 1.3 billion. Although there is an unbalanced wealth situation due to the lack of income within many parts of the country. China utilizes this along with its massive population to work in a multitude of businesses due to its cheap labor and abundance of the unemployed. Its main industries are manufacturing, service, and agriculture. But this isn't just China either. Other countries have similar situations. For example, Vietnam. Vietnam is a developing country that in stage 3 of the demographic transition has an HDI of 0.694, GNI of 606.6 billion PPP dollars, and GDP of 223.9 billion US dollars. Vietnam is interdependent with many countries by using its cheap labor. Though dependent on many countries, Vietnam's economy has substantially increased due to its rise in domestic demand and strong manufacturing exports.
Along with Vietnam, Pakistan is in the ranks too. Pakistan is in stage 2 of its demographic transition. It has an HDI of 0.562 as of 2017 and a GNI of 1.148 trillion PPP dollars as of 2017, and a GDP of 205 billion US dollars as of 2017. Pakistan is not a communist country, but rather a country controlled by military government, which isn't a very democratic one. Pakistan is an underdeveloped country as its economy isn't steady or growing at all, along with a lack of development for transportation.
Last but not least, Bangladesh. Bangladesh has an HDI of 0.608, a GNI of 664.5 billion PPP dollars, and a GDP of 249.7 billion US dollars, all as of 2017. Bangladesh's economy is predominantly agriculture, as it has been for decades, rice, tea, and jute being key products. Though being dependent on agriculture so heavily, it has contributed to seasonal unemployment. To counteract this, in mid-20th century, a policy of industrialization was adopted.
Up next are interviews. As you can see from the diagram, these are our results for the question, what does globalization mean to you? 58% of our interviewees had the right idea when talking about how globalization diffuses and spreads ideas and items throughout the world. The following results were related to the expansion of companies and Earth globe related answers.
The next question is, what is your opinion on globalization? Around 60% of the answers were good. The second was being neutral. One of the main patterns we saw in our interviews, answered neutral, was that they believed that though globalization can connect through the world in a common scheme, but it could also cause less diversity due to the uniformity. This answer interested us quite a lot and will appear later on in this video. Stay tuned.
The last question about globalization is whether or not it's a good thing. 66% agreed, while 1/3 said they were either not for it, neutral, or just didn't have a certain idea whether or not it was good.
On the topic of opinions on outsourcing, the opinions were cut around half being beneficial to neutral and non-beneficial. Many of those who said didn't benefit backed up with their opinion with the reasoning that, it would take away the jobs of the country who decide to outsource their business. On the contrary, though, those who believed that outsourcing could bring benefits were ones mainly affected by the systems.
Yes, a few of our interviewees had a job due to outsourcing and supported the system since they believed it brought jobs and opportunities to people around the world.
In relation to the previous question, the results for do you support outsourcing were similar. As you can see, the percentages are related to one another. With the question about interdependence, many people got the question spot on. A little under half responded with I don't knows or depending on yourself.
Next question is whether someone was either most or least likely to purchase something from the United States. The percentage was around half, with most likely winning by 8%. The main reason for most likely was that people felt comfortable with products manufactured in the United States, while those who felt otherwise trusted other countries to produce their items.
Last but not least, what is most important when it comes to buying an item? Our answers were varied, but the choice most chosen was value.
The result was one we predicted since money is a high concern and not everyone has the luxury of getting items. Like me.
Congrats, you made it to the end.
Wait. There's still one more question. Is globalization a good thing?
Well, that's kind of tricky. It goes both ways, kind of like a car. Some think it's bad or good or just have a neutral opinion about it.
True. Globalization can be a good thing. It helps connect the world through things like popular culture. It can also be beneficial to the economy and bring the world development to a higher level.
Once again, true. This is very nice. Sycamore Jeep.
Though it's only part of the answer, remember, a car can go both ways. So can globalization. Globalization can cause our culture to become more uniform and less in diversity. Not only that, but it can be the reason why some countries face unemployment problems since the jobs have been outsourced or offshored elsewhere.
It can also cause environmental problems to the countries receiving the outsourced and offshore of another country.
Yes, as said, globalization is like a car. It can take you places and let you go around the world, but it can emit pollutants and toxins in the air. You can go left or right about whether or not globalization is good. But one thing is certain, it still affects the world, whether it be beneficial or harmful. So, is globalization good?
Yes, and
no.
no.